Welcome back to Our Community. Susie Thomas, visiting with Olivia Johnson and ML Schultze, and we're talking about St. Paul's Episcopal Church's 150th anniversary, welcoming the African Children's Choir, presented by Music for Life, and they are coming this Sunday, July 7th, 6 o'clock, so whatever you have planned, change it, because you're going to want to be here for this. How did this all get started? Do you know, Schultze?
Well, the African Children's Choir, Ray Burnett started it actually going back 40 years. And if anybody remembers history, Uganda was a horrendous place to be 40 years ago. While he was there, he picked up a small child on the roadside and started to drive him back to his village. And as they were driving, the child started to sing. And the song was filled with dignity and hope, despite everything that was happening around it. And it just cut through in such a way that he said, this is the way to go. This is the message. And so they use that and then build out from that other efforts, education, schools. They host a number of programs throughout the countries in Africa, 7 of them now. But the thread that's gone through all of it is song and the hope of song.
What is it about music, and just the fact that they even call it Music for Life, what is it about music, just in your opinion, that is so healing and reconciliatory?
For me, I do literally everything to music. My life is not complete without music. I play piano and guitar, and then I sing as well. So my whole family has been very musical, and I have been brought up with music. So for me, it's just, you're like you said, it's healing, it's therapeutic for me. When I'm stressed, I put on music. I can listen to classical music when I'm studying. When I want to jam out, I can listen to other music. There's just something for every occasion. And I think it really is like a gift from God.
Yes. When you think of these little children who've been through so much at such a young age,
yes,
music, what must it mean to them, just in your opinion?
I think to them it's just one of those experiences that is life-changing, to be honest, that they are gifted with a talent, and then they get to share that talent with all over the world. These children in different choirs have sung for Queen Elizabeth II. They've sung for presidents. They've sung with Alicia Keys. They've done so many fantastic songs and performances with extremely famous people. So for me, if I was one of those children, I'd be like, "Whoa, this is so cool! We got to perform with Alicia Keys. So cool for them." So I think for them, that's just you kind of wonder,
do they realize how cool that is?
Yeah, right.
It's like we're all agog, and they're just doing their thing. But yes, think how many people have the background with the African Children's Choir. That automatically makes a showstopper right there, doesn't it?
And also being able, the thing music does is regardless of the language, people get it. You can sense joy, you can sense sadness. Everything is there in the music. So it overcomes any kind of communication barriers in such a short time compared to other ways.
There is that language of music. I want to go back to something else you said a little bit earlier in the first part, that you have a lot of Brits in your congregation. Is there something about the Episcopal Church that attracts the Brits in our community? Why?
Well, for my family, we were looking, I wasn't here, but my parents and my older siblings, they were looking for a church, and they visited several. They wanted an Episcopal church coming from the Anglican heritage, and they went to St. Paul's, and it was such a welcoming church. They were greeted the instant they walked through the door. They weren't let out the door because people wanted to talk to them, find out where they came from, and all that stuff. So they stayed there, and then they actually went back to England. And we actually moved up to New Hampshire, which is where I was born. And then when we moved back, we were like, should we look for a different church, or should we just go back to St. Paul's? And we went back to St. Paul's, and it was the exact same a few years later. So we decided to stay.
What do you like? As far as a young person, there's a lot of people in your generation not going to church. What is it about this that draws you?
The family. All my grandparents and everything are in England. So I have had so much support, so much leadership, mentors, all from my church. Every single one of those people have helped me in some way get through my life, get through school, and they have helped me with literally every aspect of my life. So I think just for me, it's that family background.
Well, I can tell you, just as an outside looking in, I'm so impressed with the community outreach that you've done. Schultze, I know there was a garden that you all were working on in a side yard that we're familiar with. Tell me a little bit about that, and why are these kinds of things important?
Well, what we've done over the years is We've done it at some churches like First Friends and some others that have helped us out tremendously. We've also done it at the downtown garden where you can rent plots. We planted fruits, vegetables, and then the produce. Well, first off, the planting has been done with some children from the community to get them to think beyond themselves. And then the harvest has gone to places like Refuge of Hope, or our own St. Paul's every third Saturday of the month does a hot lunch program served on the good china and restaurant style.
Is that Samaritan's Table?
Nope.
It's another one.
That's our own.
Oh,
it's called Hot.
St. Paul's own.
It's called Hot?
It's called Hot.
I love it.
Harvest Outreach Table is how it started, but now we just say hot lunch.
Yeah,
and
a hot lunch. Yeah.
It is, as fresh a produce as we can get, as healthy a food as we can get. But also, for some of the children who have worked with us over the years, it's been from the moment of planting to the moment of seeing people eat. It brings it all together. It makes it all one. And their own responsibility outside of themselves becomes very clear, and that's a joyous responsibility to have.
And to be able to share that with people that would not be able to have fresh fruits and vegetables otherwise.
Now, there have been some glitches. One year, a young man was helping us. He was planting. He did a beautiful job planting all the tomato plants. He had never planted a garden in his life, and he kind of didn't know you took them out of the plastic containers.
Oh, no.
Well, we caught that within a couple weeks.
Oh, that's good. These don't seem to be growing at all.
No, they're healthy, but they're not growing. But it's that kind of thing. You've got to recognize the range of experiences,
Sure.
Not only with going across the globe, but the range of experiences in your own community.
Absolutely. Olivia, you said you had a story you wanted to share.
Yes. Well, actually, I met one of my best friends through the Concert on Confluence series that I mentioned. And he's a fantastic pianist, and he's actually from Africa, and he is an orphan himself from Liberia. And learning from his stories, and we've gotten on really well, and we're now best friends, and we actually just did a song together, so that's coming out soon.
When you say did a song together, what do you mean?
We recorded a song. We wrote it and designed the track, and we recorded it all together, and it's coming out soon.
How can we hear it?
It's coming on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, everything.
All the important ones.
All the
Yes,
important
right.
ones. It's coming out very soon. We just finished it.
And what do we look for? How do we...
Lonely Dreams, and
Lonely
our name
Dreams.
is Rising Sun Studios.
Rising Sun Studios.
Yes.
We're going to hear more from you. I can tell this. Why are these kinds of things, like having the African Children's Choir come to town and all of these different recognitions of 150 years in one location of a faith community, why are these things important to the community at large?
I think we all want to be in this world for something bigger than ourselves. I think we feel strengthened by connecting with others. And I also think that's frankly what God wants us to do, that we live for ourselves. We've shortchanged what He's given us. And so that is very much what we're trying to live out every day.
I think everyone can benefit from everyone else, whether you're 90 years old and lending something from a 4-year-old, or whether you're 5 and lending something from an 80-year-old. I'm doing a project to try and connect the elderly generation with the younger generation, because I think, especially in this kind of situation, someone from Uganda that's 4 years old has such a different story and such a different life experience to even someone who's 90 and has lived in America their whole life.
Yes.
So I think we can all learn from everyone else.
So 150 years from now, when they're celebrating 300, whoever is doing this little job is talking to whoever is representing the church, what would you like to see? What would you like to see in the next 150 years? What would be the goal?
I'd like to see St. Paul's be a key part of Canton regaining its sense of strength and hope and a future. I think for all that I value the past, I'm a historian, I love it, but I think we have kind of gotten stuck a little bit in talking about what was. And we need to be talking, and not talking, but acting on what can be and moving ahead to a brighter future.
So what can be?
What can be is we can take care of each other, we can gain strength from each other, we can stop talking about life as a limited experience and see it as a limitless possibility.
Ooh, what a great soundbite. Thank you. Thank you for providing that. How about you, Olivia?
I just like to see everybody moving forwards with that change and keeping up with the times and moving forwards and making those stories that we're laughing about now from 150 years ago that they're laughing about the stories that we have, and just keeping that whole line going down all the way, and having even more involvement with the community, and having more outreach, and just keeping very closely knit with the community, because that's what is one of our very strong points for St. Paul's.
Very cool. So. How about this book? Any idea? Let's go back to that.
Now
I don't want to forget about the book. Yeah, you're locked in now. How are we going to find this, and about when? I know I'm not going to really tie
I'm
you
guessing
down.
March, because our formal anniversary is in March. So we're celebrating rather than January through December. We're going through next March.
Nice.
And the idea will be. I bless the people who have put together previous histories. We've used them, we've leaned on them, but sometimes they can be bloodless. They don't have a sense of life and humanity to them. So a lot of work of what we're trying to do is to get that into this. And so that's taking us a little while. But we're hoping to have it all together, and the church will actually self-publish it after next March.
Awesome. Isn't it so fun to get to know those people as people?
Oh, yes.
You start rather than just the dates and names and places, but to really start to get into their heads and feel like you start to know them as people. It's interesting, isn't it?
It is. It is. And, people have all their foibles and all their fun things, but overall, the thread that's through it all is people are trying.
And God must have been in it, or how, with all of us human beings, could anything ever last 150 years?
Exactly.
So July 7th and 6 o'clock, or you want to get there when the doors open at 5:30, or make a line at around 5. Go to St. Paul's Episcopal Church in Canton for the part of the 150th celebration with the African Children's Choir. Olivia Schultze, thank you so much for bringing this to our community.
Thank you so much, Susie.